Tonight, Zod hangs out and chats with special guest Godless Engineer. We check in to see if the Babylon Bee has gotten it all funny or insightful, and GE gets subjected to a surprise quiz. So, surprise! This is Zodanza. Well, welcome everybody. This is Zodanza, episode 12. A very special episode with Godless Engineer, who you all didn't get to see, enjoyed the music way more than Dan and I ever apparently have. So, yes, that was something to watch.
I can't dance much right now, but I was getting into it.
You danced more than I ever did, so good for you.
Yeah.
You brought the enthusiasm, I'll say that.
Yeah.
So, for those who might be curious what's going on, we had a thing planned today where Dan and I were going to answer questions from you. But just to bring you up to date, Dan had an unfortunate situation this last week where he got hit by a drunk driver, apparently. He's going to be okay, but he's not 100% yet and ready to do the show. So he's going to take the night off, and we'll hopefully see him next week. But keep him in your thoughts. Prayers if you're inclined toward that, but I doubt most of you are. But with that, John is here and enthusiastic as always and ready to join the adventure. So how you been doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. And I don't know if Dan's going to watch this later, but I hope Dan gets to feeling better and everything. That getting in a car wreck like that, it's really going to suck. Because, I'd been in a similar car wreck when I was in high school. And, it really messed me up for a few weeks. So I hope he has a much shorter recovery time.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I've been within the last year in one, probably not as bad as his, but you do feel a little banged up for a while, and so I hope he feels better and can keep his spirits up and have a full recovery soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, are you up to anything interesting as far as your channel or life or anything that you specifically find you'd like to share with us all?
Just doing my thing over here. I've kind of had all this week off of my normal job, which is as an engineer. And so I've been, working hard on getting some stuff done for the channel. Like I've got a video that I'm trying to get edited, and everything. So, there's nothing too special that's coming up. One thing it's not this month, but next month, my birthday is actually on Thanksgiving. And so that's kind of an interesting thing. Sorry. Casey calls it John's giving. So it's going to be an interesting time this year for John's giving.
Has that ever happened before?
Yeah, it happens. Obviously, it happens periodically. It happened to me in the 5th grade, and then it also happened to me when I turned 16. And you see, I remember that one specifically because my dad forgot about my birthday, and then when he remembered, like late in the day, instead of a cake, I got a turkey candle and a bunch of people singing "Happy Birthday" to me. So that was memorable.
Yeah, they clearly didn't forget then if they thought to put it.
They had a turkey candle.
Creative, that's all.
Yeah.
Not many kids get an entire turkey baked just for their birthday.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
2017 too. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, in 2017 too? Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess it's a kind of a dumb question when I think about it. If you fell on it once, it's going to happen every so often. But
yeah.
For those who don't know, John and I've known him for a while. He way back in the day helped me get my start on YouTube back when I was super, super tiny. And he's been very generous with his time and with his support and everything. So I really appreciate that. And also for coming here and joining us today. We are going to be looking at a couple of Babylon Bee videos. I've responded to a couple of them in the past on my regular channel. And when looking for a last minute change of pace, I thought I would just go and see what kinds of things they were up to and if they're still trash. And from what I saw, they probably still are. So this is going to be just a really extra trashy downer of a day in terms of, the seeing through that Babylon Bee window of what Christianity is like. Because not what Christianity is like, but what certain elements of evangelicalism are like and what they think is funny. This show is generally just little glimpses into Christian life more than debunking apologetics and stuff. And so today we're going to look into a kind of gross one, I guess. But
yeah, I've never seen a Babylon Bee like satire video, so I'm incredibly interested in it. What I do know, in experiencing it like I experienced The Onion, which is not reading the articles but reading like the preview cards on the social media sites. They are not funny. In my opinion, the jokes don't land, and they're trying to make fun of, like, it feels like they're trying to be right-wing comedians, and they're just making fun of incredibly reasonable positions. And so it just comes off as ridiculous to me.
it almost sounds like you've seen these videos.
Oh, really? That's just the impression that I get from Babylon Bee in general.
No, it's just to set the stage. It's gotten incredibly gross. It's basically your angry uncle's nasty opinions about your expected series of left-leaning or non-believing things. And they just sit there and harp on that and call it comedy. And there isn't really much in the way of actual jokes other than, ooh, aren't trans people weird, or, boy, AOC is dumb, or, whatever. So it's mean-spirited. It used to be, I guess they'd sold it a while ago. It used to be okay-ish, like internal church humor. Still like your funniest youth pastor trying his best to be cool for all the kids and be funny. Didn't land great, but it's better than what it was. We have a comment saying conservatives suck at comedy. And that's a generalization, but I think there is some truth to it. If you've ever seen, I think it's Some More News, they had a video like why do conservatives suck at comedy now? It's a pretty insightful look into why they even used to be funny, but now it's just really gone downhill. And
well, I think that one of the big problems with conservative comedy is that the audience for that seems to not be able to distinguish between comedy and like facts about reality. I'll give you a good example. It's the whole cat litter box in the classroom for the kids that identify as like a furry, like to use the restroom in. I feel like I remember reading that like that was just some kind of like funny comment that was made, and then it eventually spiraled into like people being like, they want cat litter boxes in the classrooms. And so I feel like people try to be funny and make fun of liberal ideas or liberal points of view, but the things that they fabricate and make up to be funny, their audience takes as being like reflective of reality. And I feel like that is kind of the danger of the conservative comedy. And that's why it's not funny to me, I guess, because they don't know how to interpret sarcasm or comedy.
Yeah, really, I'd say 90% of it is just simply, I don't know if it's like a feeling of catharsis or vindication or something, but really they have these little ways they want to be shitty at people and punch down at them, but they can't just come out and necessarily say it in public the way they want to. So this form of satire gives them a way to feel like they're being clever or insightful, and then to turn around and say something that I hear a lot whenever I talk about the Babylon Bee. Oh, don't you realize it's just a joke? I'm like, yeah, but satire especially is supposed to mean something. So it's a
Mhm.
joke doesn't really end the conversation about what's being said and why.
And it really feels like a cop out. Like if they say a joke and it's like they look around the room to see if anybody's laughing with them, or if anybody agrees with them rather, and if nobody does or something like that, it's like, oh, I'm just joking. Or if somebody gets mad about it, it's like, that's just a joke. Why are you so mad?
Yeah. And then the same people aren't necessarily super quick to laugh at a joke that they find irreverent or blasphemous or whatever. It's obviously a very, one-way street, but um sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was reminded of a time in my past. I had a friend in our friends group. Like, we were pretty vulgar, and we weren't really all that reverent of religion. We didn't really talk about religion, but I specifically remember one time, like, just a normal day, and I said, the curse word "goddamn," and my friend just looked at me and was like, "Hey, don't take the Lord's name in vain in front of me, okay?" And it's like, this is the guy who would later, like, steal one of my friend's wives, cheated, or had an affair with one of my friend's wives, and like stole all of his stuff and did all this other bull crap. But he's like, don't take the Lord's name in front of me. And don't take the Lord's name in vain in front of me. It's so weird to like be so specific about what you're offended by and what you hold reverence to.
Yeah, I think it basically amounts to people just being juvenile bullies. I mean, it's as simple
Mhm.
as, you can dish it out, but you can't take it. And
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I had a little side comment about something from Facebook, but I feel like that's a little getting off track. So you want to just dive into a couple of videos here?
Yeah, sure. I'm down for it.
Alrighty. Our first one, and you can probably see where this is going, is homeschool family visits woke library. So, as you might suspect, the Babylon Bee is the kind of publication that uses the word woke. I do want to warn you and put this out there. There is a not super nice representation of what I think is supposed to be a transgender person or somebody in drag. But it's about what you'd expect from the Babylon Bee. So if that's something that you'll find really upsetting or something, I don't think most people will. This might not be one for you, but yeah, let's just get a peek into the mind of what the conservative Christians at the Babylon Bee think a woke library is like, I guess.
Okay.
Aiden with an I and Aiden with a Y. You two are gonna love this place. My mom used to take me here when I was a kid.
Gosh, they sure have a lot of books.
What did I say about using the G word? Just because we're not in homeschool doesn't mean we can cuss like a drunken, filthy pirate.
Okay. Okay. I was gonna pause because you're making a face, but this suddenly took its turn, and you made another face. So
Well, right.
go
So
ahead.
the first thing that made me make a face was Aiden with an I, Aiden with a Y. It's like, what the fuck? I'm sorry, you can't be creative
No, go
enough to
ahead. Go
give
ahead.
your kids different names.
Yeah, that's one thing about this is I feel like they're like making a half-hearted attempt at jabbing at homeschool families. Like they're trying to dip a little bit into that, internal church humor. Uh,
Mhm.
but I don't even know. Do homeschoolers tend to name their kids Aiden or to have kids with the same names spelled differently?
Well, I
Or
think I took it as like there being like there's like a list of popular names, and so like I guess being sort of a white upper middle class suburban mom, like it's just very like generic white names is kind of what I took it as, I guess. And so, yeah, I feel like they're trying to dig at like religious homeschooling parents, but it's just like, I don't know. Like that is kind of funny, I guess. Aiden with an Y, Aiden with an I. But this particular representation that we're looking at right here is kind of ridiculous. Like, I don't even know what this is supposed to be.
Yeah. And we just got our first glance. I didn't mean for us to see this turn taken yet, but there's a lot to look at here, by the way, if you want to soak this all up on the bookshelf and whatever. But of course, we also have the treating gosh like a major swear word.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
That was
It feels
weird.
like they're trying to like, hey guys, we're just being funny with everybody, but you'll see both sides don't exactly get even treatment throughout this. And we have Keaton Ward saying, yes, they do. Former homeschooler here. That is, yes, they do being give those kinds of names, apparently.
Yeah. I wonder if Keaton remembers how many Aidens or Bradens that they knew.
By the way, I need to make an announcement to people who have tried to email us. I've been checking the Zadanza show email like a complete dumbass for the last couple months and didn't get a single email. And then when I put out the call for questions for next week, I got a couple messages saying they weren't going through. And I realized I put zadanzashow@hotmail.com instead of gmail.com. So I apologize to everybody who's tried to email us. If you tried to and got them bounced back, go ahead and shoot them back again. But yes, so many Aidens. I did not even know that was a homeschooling thing.
I didn't either. I figured it was an upper middle class white family kind of thing is what I would have assumed. But I saw Aunt Jer in the comment in the comment down there says I wasn't allowed to say gosh, darn, or dang. I remember I went to a Catholic private school for grades 1 through 4. I remember, I think it was in the 3rd grade. I said, "Oh, this sucks," and I had to write 100 sentences about how I will not say that word, and it was so weird.
That is interesting. It wasn't me, but a kid at school had said sucks. We went to a Christian school, and my mom was just appalled. Like, she couldn't believe that a kid at school said the word sucks. Yeah,
I feel like their heads are in the gutter, and like it's like, oh, you don't need to say sucks. That's what adults do. It's like, what do you mean by suck, mom?
The word sucks is kind of like lost its edge. But when you think if you first started hearing it and kids are saying that sucks, I mean, they're basically saying that sucks dick. I mean, that's kind of what it's short for. So, I mean, I have to kind of give it to the parents on that that's a little more reasonable than like gosh darn or something. But yeah, it's taking before one more little tangent before we get back into the video. Keaton having been a homeschooler, or any other of you who have like had extensive homeschool experience, I'm working on I watched my week of God's Not Dead 4, and I'm working on kind of putting together a video out of it. And part of it is that school is very heavily about homeschooling. And one of the narratives is just about how homeschool families are just like super happy. They get great educations. There's really advanced, and all the kids just absolutely love it to death. So if any of you have stories that are different than that, if you would want to shoot me an email of like a brief paragraph of what your homeschooling experience was like, if maybe you didn't think you got the same kind of education you might have at public school, or it was a little more contentious, then you might see represented in a really idealized Christian movie story of the practice. I would love to hear from you if that's something you'd want to share. So that's one last little thing.
Yeah, I do recall there being an interview, and I don't know if I'd be able to find it. I'll try to find it and send it to you. But there was an interview with a mom and her child that she homeschooled, and the reporter was asking them questions about like what the child was learning in school. And the mom was like praising her child, like she does great in school. And so the reporter was asking her basic like mathematics questions, right? Like, what's this? Like, can you do this for me, like in your head or something? And so like the mom corrected and was like, no, 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 that's not what we teach. And like the girl, it was a girl in the interview, could recite memorized verses of the Bible. And apparently like the girl had the Bible memorized up until some book and chapter. And it like that was like that was their like for this particular family or whatnot, that was the caliber that they were teaching at. um uh, and I don't know if you watched the John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, but John
I
Oliver
did, yeah.
recently did, yeah, he recently did a homeschool uh uh episode where he talked about the failures of the homeschool like system in each state, because it's different for each state.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
I'd had some experience in homeschool. Well, okay, I think my parents homeschooled me for like 2 weeks, and then they put me right back in Christian school. My siblings were in it a little longer. And I hate to say, I was involved in homeschooling my own kids for, I don't know, like a year or something. I wasn't as specifically involved in it myself, but um, I went to a lot of the conventions and stuff, because they have a lot of these big conventions where a bunch of vendors come and they're speakers and they talk about how great it is to keep your kids home with you and be the only people who influence their lives and things like that. And it's kind of a mixed bag. I think some parents can do it great, but when you have all these publishers marketing directly to parents and selling flashy new little products that appeal to them, it's not, you can tell a lot of these parents have no idea what they're doing and they're buying gimmicks, and it's going to vary a lot what kind of educations kids are getting. And some of them do memorize, they do more than the Bible in a lot of cases. A lot of these homeschoolers really pride themselves in the results they get, but they have this obsession with memorizing weird things. Like, I remember a lot of homeschooling parents and kids used to like talk about how many digits of pi they could memorize, as if that really has much to do with anything. Like, it's, I don't know. It's as all over the map as you might think it is. And it's, yeah, but I didn't realize until I watched John Oliver just how big that lobby is. Like, you might as well try to touch the NRA as touch homeschooling. And
Oh
so
yeah.
the thing in God's Not Dead, where the federal government says we're just shutting down all homeschoolers and sending you to jail if you don't put your kids in public school, probably isn't going to happen. But we all know that's par for the course for a God's Not Dead movie.
I mean, honestly, right now it seems like it's like there's a pretty big effort just to keep Republican hands off the Department of Education. So I doubt that we're going to see mandates for forcing kids to be forced into public schools and not having like options about it. Also, here in North Alabama, there are some like homeschool like organizations where like parents will organize things for kids to go and like do things with other homeschooling kids, and like they had all these community aspects to it. It wasn't really that. I guess in the one that I got exposed to, like I had a friend who in college who was homeschooled, and he managed to get into college. But I mean, it's because like his parents followed a specific guidelines that matched up with what kids were learning in public school, so that they could take like the graduation exams and everything like that. So I all this to say, I agree that you can do homeschooling right, and it can be a thing that's beneficial to the child, especially in certain situations where the child needs extra care or extra attention. But the religion or religious activists, I guess, are really trying to corner the market, like on homeschooling stuff.
Yeah, and I would I would wager a guess that at least on a 1-to-1 ratio, if not more, for every parent that's like really putting themselves out there and giving their kids a good education, there's a parent who's either ignorant and or gets their kid independently listening to things on tapes and reading books, and it kind of trails off, which I've heard is a lot of kids' experience. But
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, and
we have,
when you get time, Zod, Casey sent you the interview that I was just talking about a few minutes ago.
oh,
I think
okay. Yeah,
probably
I'll
on
check that out.
WhatsApp. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's just watch the video, I guess. Oh,
Yeah.
Jason said I can Google a million digits of pi, and that's kind of a relevant commentary, I think, on how much use it is to memorize all that stuff.
Yeah. And I don't know, like I haven't been in a library in a while. Okay, Zod, I got to admit, but I don't remember this kind of spread being at the front desk. Like as far as like the books that are out there, like how to transition your gender. Like I feel like this is where we're going to see like how they you know, they're trying to dig at both sides, but it's very obvious that they really just want to make fun of one side.
Oh, they're gonna you'll see them lean hard in one direction. So I guess now that we've like stopped to give a 20-minute discourse on homeschooling, I guess we'll continue our video.
Okay.
Oh, if
I and Aiden with a Y. You two are gonna love this place. My mom used to take me here when I was a kid.
Gosh, they sure have a lot of books.
What did I say about using the G word? Just because we're not in homeschool doesn't mean we can cuss like a drunk and filthy pirate. Shh. Oh, right. We had to talk quietly in the library.
Why are there rainbows everywhere? Are they remembering the flood?
Yeah, something like that.
Is the person who shoots you a boy or a girl?
That's obviously a librarian, sweetie. Let's go find the storytime area.
so I'm largely pausing when I see you make a face. It looks like you have a thought ready to come out.
Well, I mean, like obviously they're leaning in the one direction, but it's just like, oh, I find that the whole, oh, what are the rainbows about? Are they remembering the flood? And it's like, I feel like when a child sees a rainbow, they shouldn't automatically think about how God decided to kill all living things on the face of the planet because he made a mistake or he had regrets about it. Like, I feel like that's not a thing that your child should immediately think about.
Yeah, I guess we're getting a few chats about this. Are they remembering when God genocided all of life? Like, oh no, it's terrible that your kids would think of, people of different gender identities instead of full-on genocide of the entire world. But
why think about people being happy? Oh, excuse me, being happy, being themselves. And why think about that when you could think about an immense amount of death?
What I find a little telling is that aside from I assume that what they're putting out here is stuff that they don't particularly care for. They think is too woke, and along with mostly gender identity type things, they throw in a Michelle Obama book, and then A is for Activist, which I just Googled and is a real book. So I guess African American activism and trans things are like going too far and dominating the libraries, I guess, or maybe this is what they have a issue with.
Well,
I don't know.
I think the right likes to make fun of the left for Obama being elected and like everybody liking Obama and everything. Like for some reason, like I don't know if there's like liberals out there that are really like gushing over Obama being president and everything. I'm not one of them. Like I'm happy with Obama's like presidency. There were problems, with his presidency, I feel, just like any other presidency, but I'm like not gushing over it. But I do feel like this is a bit of projection because like the right are the ones that like to like put their political people up on a pedestal of like not being able to do wrong. Whereas, liberals generally don't. It's not the liberals that you see with like, 100 flags of Donald Trump out on their lawn, which we've got at least one house here in North Alabama that just is all decked out in like Trump stuff, and then you drive through the state and it's like Trump Pence. There's still Trump Pence flags up. There's also Confederate flags up. There's like just Trump signs and all this other stuff still everywhere. And like you don't see that for Joe Biden because I mean liberals just don't prop political figures up like that. Like we acknowledge that they're people and there are problems, with those people sometimes. And so we don't put them up on a pedestal. But I feel like the right-wing people are kind of projecting here on this. Also, the banned books on the left of the Dr. Seuss is a Harry Potter. That would be a right-wing banned book.
There's going to be a little joke about that coming up here.
Okay.
But yeah, there's nothing more tone deaf coming from conservatives than thinking that we think Biden is God the way they think Trump is. Like most of the liberal people I know or leftists I know, like begrudgingly accept Biden as like the worst of, or the better of, it's like letting, it's like letting a pretty shifty babysitter watch your kid versus letting a velociraptor watch your kid. You don't really love him. Anyway, let's push forward, I guess.
This place sure has changed a lot since I was here. I must, children. Thank goodness that isn't happening today. I think this is the reading area.
What's that pole for?
It doesn't seem to have any structural purpose whatsoever.
You know what? That's enough story time today. Let's go over here. Excuse me, ma'am. Sir. Librarian.
Yes, how can I help you?
I'll say there's obviously a couple things going on here. I think they're going over the top, having this mom be more polite than most people would be in this. Most of this audience would be in this situation.
Yep.
It looks like you have thoughts too, though, John. I'll let you dive in.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously, I feel like this mom would be what we would classify as a Karen. I mean, as soon as she saw the drag queen stuff, I would totally just expect her to go to the librarian and be like, I will not stand for this, and my kids won't either. And, just be really offended by it. But also, like, I don't know in what, is this like a Las Vegas library or something? They get a stripper pole like right in the library. It's like, we got Diamond on at noon, but there's also drag queens unless you want to see Diamond read you a book. Upside down on the pole.
Yeah, this. I feel like this is what they want to set up the whole thing as. Like, we poor conservative normal Americans are just trying to do our best to tiptoe around. And this librarian's raising their eyebrows at the person who's like, "Who? What are you going to say?" And like, that's not exactly how it goes. But then the poll, like, what is that even supposed to be? Like, I think we know what they're getting at. They're trying to act like anytime there's a LGBT person or a drag queen story hour or something, that it's a hypersexualized stripper act or something. But that's like, this is where I don't really find this to be actual effective or insightful satire. Like, satire is supposed to be something where you take an actual idea and lean into it hard to expose what it actually is. The Babylon Bee takes something that I guess is made up and appealing to their audiences, and they're making it into something it's not. Like, nobody's taking their kids to watch strippers, or maybe nobody, but that's not what this whole thing's about, and that's not what libraries are doing. It's just complete. I don't know. It's just they're encouraging their audience to misunderstand things, and I find it extremely offensive and uncool.
Oh, it definitely is, and I feel like what they're trying to do is sort of mix the hypersexualized environment with LGBTQ support, because that's what right-wing people do all the time. They confuse hypersexuality with supporting the LGBTQ community, because you always see them talk about how, what if homosexuals start making out in the streets and all this other stuff, and then they always bring up like the gay pride parades where they're like especially like out there in their assless chaps and or whoever's out there in assless chaps or whatever. And so they want to portray the LGBTQ community as being hypersexualized when that's really not the case. Let's go to meet your father at Hooters.
That's kind of the classic thing, I think. Like, there's so many, I would say, like, more, I don't know, right wing is the right way of putting it, but like more traditional activities that they let kids get involved in are way more sexualized than most, if any, like drag things or LGBT affirming things.
Yeah. This reminds me of all the pictures that have come out of like recent, I guess, conservative like conventions and stuff ever since, I guess, Donald Trump was running for president. But you see kids in hypersexualized environments, and it's like perfectly fine as long as it's like this very traditional idea of hypersexualization. Like the one that I'm remembering right now is a bunch of kids, kneeling for a picture, and then it's like two girls in like those ass hugger pants.
Oh yeah.
And they're like turned around and it says "fuck Joe Biden," and it's just a bunch of kids in front of it. And it's like, okay, that's okay, but you can't teach kids that it's okay to, have feelings and affection for someone of not of not the opposite gender, just of some other gender than traditionally people associated, or not associated with, but traditionally represented as, or whatever. Like I feel like there's two extremes here, but the left extreme seems far more reasonable than the right. And I think that the same things here.
And that's a good question. Is it really convincing anybody who isn't already on their side? I don't think this is like newly convincing people to believe this stuff, but I think there's something very damaging in having an echo chamber that just internally keeps reinforcing these misconceptions or urban legends or whatever. And they keep telling people that these people are something they aren't. I find that to be very dangerous, because that's where I think the main point of this kind of humor is it's validating all the ugly things people want to believe. And when you see stuff like this circulated enough, even on a satire thing, I think they start to feel like it's news of some form or another, or it's like actually, yeah.
Well, and I'll say this, and then we can push on. But
yeah, go ahead.
Like whenever I see this kind of stuff coming from right wing places, I generally have two reactions to it, and the first reaction is, of course, disgust. Like you had said, like, this is just disgusting, and it is. The representation in it is truly horrible. But then the second reaction I get is it's laughter, but it's not like laughter as in, oh, this content's funny. It's laughter in that, oh, this is so ridiculous. You have to be a ridiculous person to think that this is a representation of anything, like even a satirical representation of anything. And so, like, generally that's why I end up laughing at this kind of stuff, because it's not that it's funny, it's that it's so ridiculous that it's like, okay, I don't need to listen to anything this person says, or I don't need to take anything that this person talks about or anything like that seriously, because they're not a serious person.
Yeah, for sure. And I can find that funny at a moment, but personally I find it a little depressing, because my personal Facebook feed of a lot of people I had come out of, church and Christian school with and stuff, they would take something like this seriously, and they share around things of this quality. And I just find it very disheartening to, know the kind of world I'm living in and the kinds of things people believe. And think of the amount of baggage, if you're trying to get them to empathize with or understand anything at all sensible about certain populations of people, the amount of obstacles you have to overcome because of what they keep, I don't know, reinforcing to each other.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that those people with those kind of points of view, do you think that you really can like affect them in any kind of way? Because like I feel like if they've gone to the point of this kind of ridiculousness, I feel like there's nothing I can say to right you in this
Yeah.
situation. You're pretty much hard up on painting this group of people in this way that's not true, and there's nothing that can be said to you to prove that it's wrong. And so that is sad. Like when on a personal level, if I were to interact with somebody personally, it would be very sad. I wouldn't laugh at them necessarily, but it is very sad. That's true.
It's a daunting task, and I think it's like with everything else, just with like being an atheist, you're not going to get a church full of people to see the light by showing them a video or making a presentation or something. But
Mhm.
it's a very long-term kind of discouraging process where you have to just stick with it and be kind-hearted and diplomatic in your interactions, and hope that you can just like shine these little lights of insight that they can maybe carry away, and it'll eventually settle in. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
mean, I know that there are a few people online, in like my comments and stuff that get aggravated with me because I try to be very calm and collected when I'm having difficult discussions with people that have just horrible points of view, and it amazes me how many people out there would rather just sort of turn it into a dumpster fire rather than try to have a good conversation that could potentially change their mind about something.
yeah, for sure. And I guess just one little thing to add into this. I think one issue is I don't think these people are like, I don't know, maybe I'm a little off here, but I don't think they as hard line believe all this stuff in a big monolithic thought process as we might think. I think the reason they like watching this stuff is it builds that validation of their biases in their mind. But I think the reason they have to is I think there's some kind of internal back and forth between their empathy and basic decency and trying to hold on to these biases. But maybe I'm just being too hopeful and thinking that. Drew had a good comment. Good comedy never punches down. I think there can be maybe some slight exceptions with that, but as a rule, especially with satire, there's when you punch down, it's just being mean. And but I think part of what this audience really believes is that they're punching up against a world that's bullying them to bring all this stuff to their doorstep and force all this into their lives. And if you watch the dynamic between this is a very almost obsequious mother trying to navigate her way against this overbearing librarian. And we'll see at the end of this, I guess, how that all plays out.
Hi, we're looking for, normal kid books. Like the stuff I used to love when I was a kid. Do you have anything like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Oh, no, 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 no. No, we don't carry that offensive trash on our shelves. That would be on our banned books list.
Banned? Why would they be banned?
Well, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is fatphobic, Dr. Seuss was a racist, and Harry Potter is banned because the author is
Wizards and witchcraft are demonic. I'm with you on that one.
We'll be getting new copies of the others once the ministry...
I like how the librarian opposes Harry Potter because of J.K. Rowling, and the mom is like wizards and witchcraft because obviously those things are real.
Yeah, and that was one. I think that moment was the closest this came to being clever, is where they both like blurted out opposite reasons for banning Harry Potter. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think that wokest libraries are the ones contributing to the big book banning thing in this country, or do you think that might be coming from somewhere else?
I mean, yeah, that's a
really nice
good point.
Softball question.
I can't have there been any like liberal movements or like liberal incidents where books have been banned? Because the only thing that I can think of are right-wing initiatives to like ban certain books,
Yeah.
I can't think of any liberals that are out there trying to, like, even the Harry Potter books. Like, I mean, regardless of who wrote the Harry Potter books, I mean, I feel like, once J.K. Rowling showed her true face about being, a bigot, I don't think that the Harry Potter fans were immediately like, you know what, fuck Harry Potter. I'm gonna go and burn all my Harry Potter books tonight. But you know what? Greg Locke specifically went out, bought Andrew Seidel's book about the founding myth, and burned it on camera. And so it's like there's a difference here. There's a big difference between the two sides. And it's not the liberals that are banning books for like petty shit.
And this is something I was already thinking. Nobody banned the Dr. Seuss books. Like the publishers decided to discontinue a limited number of books that most people wouldn't recognize the titles of. And this is just perpetuating purposeful ignorance when they even allude to Dr. Seuss being banned.
Well,
but there's go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, sorry everybody, I had to give myself some insulin right on air. But so it's amazing to me, because that's a good point to bring up there, Zod, that the publisher is the one that decided to pull books. And it seems like whenever it's a more right-leaning business that's making a business decision, the Republicans are like, that's a business thing. Government needs to stay out of business. But when it's somehow a left-wing thing, where or not left-wing necessarily. Sorry, my mind's a bit jumbled right now. But when it's a more, I guess, liberal action being taken by a company, all of a sudden that's woke cancel culture that's causing this and everything. So there's a dichotomy there that's just ridiculous.
It's the simple can dish it up but can't take it thing. It's the same thing with masks. Like if they don't want serve someone a cake, well, they're a business, they have the right to refuse service to whoever they want. But if they want you to put a mask on, then suddenly they're trampling on your rights, and you shouldn't have to put up with that shit. And you go pick on whichever poor teenager's trying to guard the door.
Yeah.
Of truth changes the
offense. Oh, okay. I don't want to miss a little thing. They go hard here on us for just a second. I wanted to catch
I'm with you on that one.
We'll be getting new copies of the others once the Ministry of Truth changes the offensive language. Oh, and
yeah, so they have to go 1984 Ministry of Truth.
The Ministry of Truth?
Conservatives good and understand George Orwell and the message he is trying to put out.
Yeah, I mean oh, sorry. I was just gonna say the only people that are trying to instantiate some kind of Ministry of Truth are Republicans right now. Like,
yeah. And by the way, just a little warning to you watching, this might get a little political. I think we're far down that path.
Whatever. I'm just looking for something up.
Oh yeah, I thought this is a 5-minute video. I thought it'd go quick, but they pack so much just horrible nonsense into this. Let's
so the Kirk Cameron thing, I think that was that here, honey? The Kirk Cameron was supposed to it was here. So the Kirk Cameron thing, so it happened in North Alabama, where Kirk Cameron was supposed to come and talk at a library somewhere, I think, or it was some kind of venue. It was a library. And so he was supposed to come here and talk, but the organizers of it misrepresented what was happening or how many people would be there. And so they outsold it by a lot of tickets. And so the library was like, I'm sorry, you can't have that here because it exceeds the fire marshal's code for how many people can be in that room and in this building and everything like that. And so there was this whole conniption fit about Kirk Cameron being able to talk to people here in North Alabama. It wasn't that yeah, there's threats of lawsuits and everything like that. So it wasn't that the library was banning Kirk Cameron. And I'm not sure if Kirk Cameron's had problems in other libraries, but I know at least here locally, it was because the organizers of the event misrepresented how many people were going to be in attendance. And when they revealed how many people or how many tickets they sold to the library said it would be dangerous for you to meet here. And so
Yeah.
like that's what it was. Like this is such a ridiculous misrepresentation of shit. Sorry, it really pissed me off.
Yeah, I didn't like this either. I love this comment. Oh no, canceled by people not wanting you to be trapped in a burning building.
Yeah.
And I think the other part of this is, from what I understand, in other situations, he wanted to like be actively promoted by the libraries versus to rent a space like everybody else does. And really, I think his whole thing is he had no intention of going into libraries and putting on a show. I think his whole intention was to troll for a response from the libraries and turn himself into a persecution victim. I think that was kind of the plan from the start.
Yeah.
I'm speculating there, but
yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of Kirk Cameron. Kirk Cameron's kind of got an MO for that, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like with the whole Saving Christmas thing, I mean, you know, it was such a bad movie. I don't know if anybody here has seen Saving Christmas. It's a bad movie. And, you know, it got horrible reviews from users, from the audience score and reviewers on Rotten Tomato. And then he made it a whole persecution complex thing for his audience because like he was getting bad reviews on it on Rotten Tomatoes. And so he's like, Kirk Cameron's always looking for a reason to be turned into a victim because of his Christianity, or well, his Christian activism, I guess. And it's so ridiculous.
yeah.
Whatever. I'm just looking for something appropriate and fun for the kids. Is there anything you could recommend?
Of course. What are your names?
I'm Aiden with an I.
And I'm Anna with a Y.
And what are your pronouns?
Well, we learned in homeschool that pronouns are words that take the place of nouns or noun phrases.
Oh, no. I mean, what are your personal pronouns? The ones you use to identify yourself?
Mine?
Never mind. What kind of books do you like to read?
I like books for boys.
No. No, we don't limit our books to two genders. Having a boy section and a girl section wouldn't be inclusive enough.
Inclusive of what?
All the other genders.
I like reading about biology. Where are those books?
No. I'm afraid those are kept in our restricted section.
Restricted. Why?
The content was deemed potentially harmful for kids.
Whatever. Is there just...
I have to sympathize with the baby in this because the baby the entire time's like, please just stop this bullshit. Stop it, please.
Yeah. I don't know. So I guess, and I'm sure this is what they want to think. One of those woke library people is immediately going to put your kids on the spot to identify their pronouns as if, you know, they have that little tact or that little understanding of the different types of people who walk in the door. But then they're banning biology books. I'm guessing the whole point of that is supposed to be that they don't like the reality of biology. And so they try to hide the facts of actual science so it doesn't offend people.
Well, which is kind of funny because if you actually read the most up to date science on, like, I guess you know, gender and sex and all of that, you'll find that, you know, all like the scientific books and everything, like the biology books would say that it's a spectrum. Like they wouldn't say that there's a hard dichotomy there, like between the two. And also Olivia Williams, what in the comment says, was there ever a boys and girls section in a library? And you know, I can't remember that. Like I remember topics and you know, like I grew up in an age where we had to learn what I guess you would too, there's on where we had to learn how to find, you know, based on the that card system, you know, like
the Dewey Decimal System.
Dewey Decimal System. Yeah, we had to use the Dewey Decimal System and everything. And I don't know if kids are still taught that now. My son hasn't said, you know, he barely talks to me about school, but you know, you would look for topics, and there would be topics, and there would be a kids section where there was kids books in there, but it was still topically based. Like it wasn't like gender based. Like I don't even understand. Like what is the little kid? What was that little boy hoping to get? Can I get a children's version of Die Hard, please? Like as if they're gonna have like some children's rendition of Die Hard.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
feel
not a
like,
boys movie. I'm not saying it's a boys movie, but it is a Christmas movie.
but I guarantee you, at least some of this video's audience is going to yearn for the good old days when they had a boys section and a girls section of the library, like God intended. But I also find it ironic that they showed Kirk Cameron's picture and then literally showed somebody else being offended by biology books.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I do
say.
yeah. Well, I was just gonna say I don't understand the right wing aversion to, degendering certain things. Like, in this particular case, books. For some reason, there are girl books and there are boy books. Like, I don't understand. Like, I've never encountered that in the real world, but like, I don't see what the big problem with the problem is with. Instead of classifying things by gender, why don't you classify things in other ways that allow everybody to enjoy it? Like they are so stuck in a appeal to tradition fallacy that it's like, unless it's this way, and it's always been this way, it's been the status quo since the 1950s, then it's wrong. And it's like ridiculous. How dare girls want to enjoy whatever kind of books that Republicans think are boy books? Like, how dare they want to read that shit? Like, it's just so ridiculous to me.
Yeah, and I think the more you push those traditions, and I'm not saying this is the extent of what gender identity is or whatever, but I think the more you restrict what boys and girls are supposed to do, the more people think they don't fit the mold, and the more people realize the complexity of their personal identity, or want to explore who they actually are.
Is anything good that you could recommend?
How about this one? It's called How to Transition Your Gender. It provides step-by-step instructions on how to turn yourself into any one of the 473 currently known genders. I just thought of another one. 474!
No more gender stuff.
It's just a little surgery.
That's it. We're leaving, gosh darn it.
So you go to a library and they literally offer your kids surgery. Yeah.
I mean, this is obviously ridiculous, but it's so crazy what goes on. Because like, this is a peek into what Republicans would find, or right-wing people would find, I guess, funny as far as satire, because it's like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why they think that every single liberal is out there to change your child's gender or force them to be part of the LGBTQ community. Well, I mean, like they simply cannot fathom. This is what gets me. They cannot fathom that, maybe my kid was part of the LGBTQ community the entire time. Nobody told them, oh, you must be this way. Maybe, and they never think of this, but maybe they just feel more comfortable now being themselves. Like, this is something that just doesn't even occur to them. And they have to represent it in their minds in this kind of way, that everybody's out to get the children and make them switch genders and shit. Like, it's just so weird.
Well, if you acknowledge what it really is, then you're just being a dick, and they don't want to admit that about themselves. So they have to turn it into they're protecting the children, or they're defending themselves against these aggressive people who are trying to sneak into their homes and do surgeries, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
Whoa, Mom just swore.
There's also this book on puberty blockers.
Wait, hold up there. Excuse me, ma'am. We got a call about a disturbance in the area.
There's an adult librarian in there telling kids there are 473 genders.
It's actually 474, and you're under arrest for being a domestic terrorist. Are you looking?
And we're not gonna
fucking
what he's gonna end up doing is selling this stupid book company that you know, what's his name? Professor Radisson wrote a book for or something, or claimed he wrote a book for. So
Yeah. I really hate JP Sears. Like,
oh yeah.
I before he like went all political, he was very, you know, like a satirical comedy kind of channel on YouTube. And I remember years ago I had subscribed to him and I hadn't really watched any of his videos, but then I saw him start putting out a whole bunch of like really crazy shit. And so I'm like, what's happening here?
Yeah. So literally, you know, we have openly sexual activities, I guess, happening in the kids section of a library. We have somebody offering kids gender surgery, and then we have the Ministry of Truth brought up because, you know, this is all Big Brother 1984 stuff. And then the FBI shows up to literally arrest you because you, I guess, weren't properly woke at a woke library. So
And
that's
I
our
call
little-
bullshit on that mom not resisting. Like they all immediately just held out their hands. Like that's bullshit. You know, they would have resisted.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what I think that's what they want to feel about themselves, is that they're this poor beleaguered group of people. Okay, we'll go to jail because you want to send us to jail for. And then did you notice that she like held out the baby's hands so they could put, I guess, little baby hangers on the baby? Like, Jesus Christ.
I mean,
So,
anything to portray themselves as a victim.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our peek into the world of the Babylon Bee. I had a backup video, but I think we're far enough down the road for time that we could skip that one. It's basically just saying, are you suffering from toxic masculinity and acting like, you know, you think toxic masculinity is if you hold the door open for you're a woman or you mow the lawn or something. It's pretty stupid.
Yeah, sorry, I'm very like talkative and stuff. So that's
oh
my
no, you're
bad.
good. You're good. That you're doing exactly what we're hoping to do. So I over plan and then we cut short if we need to, and it's the way it goes every week. I think when they mention domestic terrorism as if, you know, not being woke at a library is the most terroristic thing the right has ever done in this country, that got me curious to look up the Babylon Bee's take on, you know, the fact that they did a January 6th. Just don't go down that path. It's terrible and depressing. It's basically a lot about like, well, what about Black Lives Matter? And it was really the FBI the whole time. And I felt so dirty and depressed after I watched that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. And I mean, like the things that have been like domestic terrorist instances in the past, the ones that I can think of right off the top of my head, like the Oklahoma City bombing and other things of that nature, like those have all been like Christian attack, like you know, radical, I guess, Christian attacks. But I mean, they were like the guy who did Oklahoma City bombing, he did it for religious reasons and also because of the incident in Waco, but it was primarily religiously driven. You know, and then we can just look at January 6th, which was deeply entrenched in both Christianity and nationalism, you know, Christian nationalism. And so, I mean, like that was a deeply Christian religious type of situation that was a domestic terrorist incident. And there's just a lot of things that you can point to where it's been legitimate domestic terrorist instances. And I feel like Babylon Bee representing it as a Karen had a problem at a library as being domestic terrorism. That just shows how ridiculous those people are. I mean, it really does.
And the Karen only tried to like be as polite as possible and got pushed around by a woke bully who was coded, you know, trans or whatever. And yeah. So that's that. We usually run for an hour and a half. Are you okay to hang around and do a little quiz about something?
I've been prepared for the quiz. I don't know what it is.
All right.
And but I'm ready for it.
I thought just for fun, it'd be fun to take a trip down memory lane. And this is a quiz about old collabs you've done on my channel and cartoon characters you've played. And so we do this through Kahoot. And so everybody in the audience can join. and see if you can beat John at remembering characters he portrayed on my channel. So
I don't know. I think people might be able to do a little bit better job than me right now, but we'll see.
these are all just meant to be goofy and for fun. So
I think so. Casey's asking, is Kahoot a website? Are you going to put like a link in the chat?
yeah, I'm going to share here real quick and then up. Share screen. Okay, so we'll give a minute, and you get the bonus of like seeing this a couple seconds ahead of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the guest always has a little bit of an advantage. So if you want to play, go to kahoot.it and enter the pin 6212039. We got a couple people joining already.
KC's
KC joined in. Nice.
Yeah. A little, what is that? Like a lizard with a pacifier.
I believe so. A lizard. Oh, now she's a unicorn.
That's cute, hon.
All right. And John, have you joined in?
Oh, shoot. No, I forgot. I'm supposed to join in.
No, you're
Hold
good.
on. Okay.
Usually we've done Bible trivia, and Dan decided to be a big jerk and ask me questions that were like the name of someone's mother in a specific verse of the Bible.
My name was too long.
That's fine. We'll know who you are. At least it won't be like in that cartoon where I credit you as Godless Engineer. I had a few misspellings, and so finally I just started sending the credits to everybody whenever I did a cartoon.
Oh, okay.
We have 2, 3, 4, 7 people. We'll give a couple more seconds if anyone wants to join. We have Babylon B. Good one, whoever you are.
Damn. Babylon B joined. They don't like our criticism of their shitty satire.
If Babylon B wins, I'm going to puke. I'm sorry. Just not in the mood right now. All right, I'm going to reformat this, see if I can get it a little bigger on the screen. And I'll take that Zodonza thing off the... All right, let's start the quiz. If you're not in yet, you're too late.
All right, I'm ready.
So, question 1. Oh, we're not there yet. 2, 1. In our first collaboration, GE wore an Alternatives Fact t-shirt, and Zod wore A, fake news t-shirt, B, a Bob Ross t-shirt, C, his same usual costume, or D, a t-shirt of his old church with the name blurred out. I thought this would be the...
I remember what our first collab was, so I think I picked the right one, maybe. Oh, no, incorrect.
Yes,
a Bob Ross t-shirt.
And the first time I met Zod.
I have to say I am shocked and a little hurt that you don't remember the Bob Ross t-shirt.
Well, it was either Bob Ross or it was the t-shirt of your old church, considering the context of the first video that we did a collab on.
I did throw that in there just to specifically throw people off, and I guess it worked better than I thought it would. I wore my usual costume through most of it, but when you did that, I decided to show the Bob Ross one. And on the first Faithless Forum, I specifically wore the Bob Ross shirt into your guys' room when everybody was live streaming. And from then on, I was briefly the Bob Ross guy after that. All right, let's try for better luck on the next one, I guess. So far, we have KC in the lead with a commanding 805 to everybody else having 0. Question 2. What did my old pastor hilariously shout to prove that life is a miracle? Babies are cute. Seeds are dead. Life is complex. Jesus gives us salvation. What did he shout?
I didn't know. It was
And I remember you specifically got a big kick out of this one.
Yeah. Think what? Oh yes, I did
it. Seeds are dead. You got that one. Nice.
I did.
It was one of the funniest. It was one of the funniest parts. Like it makes a great out of context clip too. He goes, "I have a couple apple seeds here. They're dead." He's repeating that, and his whole thing was that basically you can see the resurrection mirrored in nature, and it's actually a miracle because the seeds are dead. And
I mean,
yeah,
dormant isn't dead. I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah,
that's exactly what he said. And he goes, "Once that shit's dead, that's grain." That's what... Anyway, Casey's still in the lead. We have Tim, Godless Engineer with 690, and Babylon B in third place. This is, you get points for how fast you click too, so that's why there's a little bit of a differential. What did my old pastor say that evolution says? Life is meaningless. Monkeys are our grandparents. The Bible is unreliable. Or man created God.
You know, I knew I should have rewatched it.
I'll give you a little hint. Before we actually even did the video, you sent me a screenshot. You texted me a screenshot of that and laughing about it.
Oh. Oh no, man created
It was man created God. It even had on the bottom of the screen, it had a little bar and it says evolution says man created God.
It's been so long since I've seen that first one.
Yeah, I don't expect you to perform well on this. This is all just kind of in fun.
Oh, okay, good. The expectations were set appropriately. I got it.
Okay, the Bob Ross one I am deeply wounded by, but the rest of these, you know, you can take them or leave them. It's just the rest of this is just a trip down memory lane.
Okay, look, that was shooting your own self in the foot there because you put my old church shirt or Bob Ross. If you hadn't have had the old church shirt, I would have definitely picked Bob Ross, but it threw me off.
Well, you know, like Kirk Cameron, I go out of my way to be the victim sometimes. So
okay.
Ooh, Tim pulled ahead of KC. And we have Sword, Godless Engineer, and Babylon B hanging in at 5th place. Question 4. What character did Godless Engineer play in His Blood Cries Out from the Depths of the Ground? Was it Cain, Abel, Adam, or Elijah? I think based on the title, most people should be able to narrow it down to one or two of them.
Oh no!
It was Abel.
Abel.
You got it wrong.
I know I don't remember it.
These were years ago, to be fair.
Yeah, I know who exactly. I know who exactly I played in the. Yeah. Okay.
So you were Cain and Abel are easy to get mixed up. I always remember when I was younger, you know, you were the one that got hit in the head and you kept telling him, knock that off. That hurts, motherfucker.
Oh, I remember that now. Shit. I remember that.
And as a kid, I always remembered because Abel was the one that pleased God. So, you know, he's more able to do the right thing or something, but yeah. Casey's back in the lead. Oh my gosh, you got to get back in the leaderboard. You're losing a quiz about yourself.
My memory sucks tonight. I'm so sorry.
No, I didn't expect that you're going to remember all these details from stuff all these years ago. It's just, again, just for fun. In that cartoon, he denied that he tried to sabotage Cain's sacrifices, wanted God to play favorites, knew his sister was his sister, often had carnal knowledge of goats. Which was it? These are set a little longer because our 20-second timer caused people a little bit of grief before.
I don't know. If I don't get this right, I'm gonna be sad about myself. Ah, yes. Wait, everybody knew that I mentioned goats. Great.
Yeah, it was phrased a little differently, but you said it. When you were accused of it, and you said, "Well, I saw a cow last week," and you're like, "A cow's not a goat, idiot." And then your defense was, "If I do, I rarely do."
Still not in the lead. Okay.
You know, somebody has a really strong memory of the stuff you've done in the past.
Yes.
I mean, you're my two favorite YouTubers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's true.
Yeah.
And women always have better memories anyway, right? They always remember things like anniversaries. And what movie trailer did GE do a voice for? Jesus Isn't Lord, The Cash Grab of the Christ, Fire Spoof, or Zod's Not Dead? Jesus Isn't Lord, The Cash Grab of the Christ, Fire Spoof, or God's Not Dead? Zod's Not Dead, sorry.
Oh, Jesus Isn't Lord. I got it
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, Zod's Not Dead it was a God's Not Dead one, but it was like a reversal where the professor made everyone say Jesus is Lord instead of God's Not Dead.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that now.
And then Jimmy even sang that song and went, Jesus isn't Lord because he doesn't exist. And Tim gained a few points there, but KC is still in a pretty solid lead. Question 7. What character did GE parody in that trailer? Professor Radisson, Joss Wheaton, Willie Robertson, or Pastor Dave? Which of the God's Not Dead characters? And I know that these names probably don't mean as much to all of you who don't obsessively watch the God's Not Dead movies like a weirdo the way I do, but it is what it is. Willie Robertson.
I knew
Robertson.
it. As soon as I read that name, I was like, yep, that was it. I played the hillbilly once.
Yeah, for some reason I picked you to play the hillbilly. I don't know. I'm in third. He was the Alabama guy. Oh, yeah. All right. Yep, you're back in third. Casey's still in the lead. Tim, Godless Engineer, Sword and Shivers. Question 8. What character did you play in a cancel culture carol?
See, I know that one.
A dead talk radio host, a canceled stand-up comedian, a Tucker Carlson clone, or himself?
Yeah.
This one.
We're going to need to watch it. Yeah. I got it.
What's that?
Yeah, I think you were.
Yeah, dead talk radio host.
Yeah, was Casey in cancel culture? Carol?
Yeah, she was in that one too, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much because the next 2 questions, special surprise, you get to show us how much you remember roles she's done. So now you're in trouble if you don't get these ones right.
Shit, why you got to put me in this position, Zod?
Because I'm mean. I want to make you a victim too. All right, you guys still have first and third lockdown with Tim, Shivers, and Sword rounding out the top 5. Question 9. Who did Casey play in a cancel culture carol? The ghost of cancellations past? The ghost of cancellations present? The ghost of cancellations future? Or an angry / bored Fox News style pundit? This is probably a little mean because how can you tell the difference between past, present, and future? But I'm not sorry.
Yeah, so you see how hard it is, honey? Oh, yep. See, I didn't.
It was Ghost of Cancel. What's that?
Future. Yeah, it was the future one. See, I didn't think about it being the future one because I was like,
I know Shannon played the Fox News one.
okay. Shannon played
Yeah,
the Fox News one.
Yeah, she was like the kind of tired sounding, annoyed, bored person playing alongside Vice Rhino's Tucker Carlson. And then Casey was like the ninja hooded ghost of the future.
Oh yeah.
All right. Can he pull it off? He has to climb up 2 spots and make up 1,600 points. Anything's possible, except probably not
Is it-
technically. In which cartoon did Casey play a grieving mother? Unto Us a Son is Born, but is it Harsh Slavery, The Passion of the Christ 2 Resurrection Fail, or Jehovah Strikes Back?
I remember this one.
Ah, you were quick and confident this time. Maybe you will make up that 1,600 points. If Casey eats shit on this question about her own role. It was, but is it Harsh Slavery? Yes, she was the mother who her daughter had been taken into slavery. She started off giving this impassioned sounding thing about how sad she was and then rationalizing it in one of my proudest twists. So in third place, Godless Engineer, you made the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Tim is in second. And of course, in first place, Casey. with 5,471 points. And the runners up were, they just flashed it off the screen before I could see it. So a good effort by all. We can view the summary if we want.
Yeah, that was fun. This is a nice trip down memory lane there, Zod.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. And you made a respectable showing.
Yeah.
So that is, I think, all we have for tonight, unless you have any other thoughts or announcements or grievances you want to air before we wrap up.
Nah, I mean, I had a lot of fun tonight. I know that I talked a lot and had a lot of issues with the video, so we only got to go through one. But, I appreciate everybody being here and watching the show tonight. It's been a blast, and hopefully I can do it again in the future.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun having you on. And don't worry about talking a lot. I call that holding your end of the conversation. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you showing up last minute, and you're a lot of fun to do this with. So thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me on there, Zod.
Yeah, of course. Real quick, what is our tagline?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
So you might not be aware. That's a thing we do on that show. Dan just asked me once what our tagline is, and we didn't have one, and I was just supposed to make one up. So now we just make one up at the end every time.
Oh, okay. I got a really great one.
What is it? All right, go ahead.
Stand up and use your voice.
That's our tagline.
Excellent. All right. Thanks as always to our patrons. We have a new one. I'm sorry I didn't bring up your name, but I'll mention you next time. But thanks all for showing up. This was a good time. Thanks again, John, and we will see you next time. As soon as I get to my thing to play the closing. All right. Goodbye.
Voy a cantar esta canción. Voy a cantar esta canción con mucho cariño de mi corazón a la República Dominicana, la casa del merengue y la casa de la bachata. Voy a cantar esta canción con mucho cariño de mi corazón a la República Dominicana, la casa del merengue, la casa de la bachata. La 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 la, la casa del merengue. La 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 la, y la casa de la bachata. tú.